revised travel ban. Donald Trump revised the ban, basically kind of watered it down from what it was before. Okay, in this one it was 7 countries. Now it's 6 countries. He removed Iraq from the list. This new travel ban also exempts anybody with green cards, anybody with visas, and it also removed that provision that prioritizes certain religious minorities that are being targeted more. Like, for example, people being targeted for religious reasons by ISIS and terror groups and whatever. These would be Christians, but it would also be Yazidis. And yes, it would also be Muslims, moderate Muslims that are targeted. But he even removed that to appease the liberals. But guess what? This left-wing judge went ahead and blocked this too, ruling it somehow, quote, unconstitutional. So now the Trump administration has to fight this, appeal this thing. It'll go up through the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals again, and probably to the U.S. Supreme Court. And we'll see what happens. But this U.S. District Court Judge, Derek Watson, he argues that this is a Muslim ban. He says, quote, flawed is the notion that the executive order cannot be found to have targeted Islam because it applies to all individuals in the 6 referenced countries. These 6 countries have overwhelmingly Muslim populations. So in other words, what he's saying is, because these 6 countries, their populations are overwhelmingly Muslim, therefore that's tantamount to a, quote, Muslim ban. And since it's a, therefore, Muslim ban, it's unconstitutional. Well, it's not a Muslim ban. You can look at Trump's executive order. Not one time is the word Muslim or Islam or religion in there, anywhere. It's not there. It's merely people from these countries that are ISIS and terrorist-infested countries, and it's not even a permanent ban. It's just a temporary travel ban saying you can't come here from that country for just 90 days. If you want to come here into this country for 90 days from that country, you got to wait. And as a refugee, you got to wait 120 days. All right? That's it. Oh, and by the way, exceptions are allowed to be made on a case-by-case basis, depending on what it is. But no, it's a Muslim ban. So my question for this judge, and my question for all the media reporters who's saying, yeah, that's right, this judge stopped something terribly evil. Okay. Was it a Muslim ban when Barack Obama did this for Iraq for 6 months? Remember, he banned refugees not for 90 days, but for 6 months. 6 months from Iraq. Is Iraq, let me clear something up here. Is Iraq a Muslim majority nation, yes or no? Are the majority of people, the overwhelming majority of people in Iraq Muslim, yes or no? Oh, yes, they are, aren't they? Why didn't we have any judges, any liberal judges? Why didn't we have any of the liberal left, the media, anybody else? Did anybody hear the words Muslim ban when Barack Obama did this while president? Did anybody even hear those words, Muslim ban? You didn't, did you? So how is it when Barack Obama did it, when he banned people from coming here temporarily for 6 months from a nation that's overwhelmingly Muslim, that wasn't a Muslim ban? But when Donald Trump does it, it is a Muslim ban. How about when Jimmy Carter did it with Iran? Anybody remember that? Jimmy Carter did it not for 90 days, not for 120 days, not for 6 months, but for an indefinite ban of anybody, refugees, immigrants, anybody coming here from Iran. Last time I checked, Iran is a Muslim majority nation. Anybody hear about Muslim bans from Jimmy Carter? And by the way, Carter didn't make exceptions for Iranian Muslims holding green cards, visas, things like that. President Jimmy Carter even deported several thousand U.S. residents and U.S. college students who were in this country legally, not committing any crimes, because they were from Iran. Remember that? Just amazing. Just amazing. Well, here's what I want you folks to remember, okay? When you hear conservatives talking about activist judges, liberal activist judges, who ignore the Constitution, ignore the law, and just decide to rule how they want to according to what their own political opinions are, I know that liberals say, oh, that's not true. That's not true. But what do you do, folks? What do you do if there's an actual law. There's an actual law that declares that the President of the United States, whether Republican or Democrat, the President of the United States has the legal constitutional authority to temporarily ban travel from any country he wants, as long as he believes that it's in the national interest. What do you do if the law clearly states that? The judges are just ignoring this. They're just ignoring it. And then what do you do if the United States Supreme Court actually backs up that law and says, yes, the president does have a right to do this, and the courts do not have a right to question it? What do you do? Because you have these judges that are just deciding, I don't care what the law says. I don't like Trump, so I'm going to rule against him. I want to read to you one more time, 8 United States Code 1182F. This is United States law, and here's what it says, folks, quote, whenever the president finds that the entry of any aliens or any class of aliens into the United States would be detrimental to the interests of the United States, he may, by proclamation, and for such period as he shall deem necessary, suspend the entry of all aliens or any class of aliens as immigrants or non-immigrants, or impose on the entry of any aliens any restrictions he may deem appropriate. Okay? The law could not be more clear, folks. The President of the United States has the legal constitutional authority to decide if he believes it is in the nation's interest to temporarily ban people coming from a particular country for purposes of national security. He doesn't have to get the approval of the judges. And I want to remind you, folks, and Breitbart pointed this out, which is an excellent point. They say the Supreme Court of the United States has accepted and validated this power of the president. The court declared in its judgment, Knopf versus Shaughnessy, these words, quote, it is not within the province of any court, unless expressly authorized by congressional law, to review the determination of the political branch of government to exclude a given alien, end quote. So the U.S. Supreme Court has already declared that no court has the right or the authority to even review the determination of the president to enact the law when it comes to his discretion as far as temporary bans on people coming into this country from certain nations. But this Hawaii judge doesn't care. These Washington judges doesn't care. The Ninth U.S. Circuit Court doesn't care. Because their attitude is, we don't like Trump. We don't like those conservatives. This is my political opinion. And I'm a judge with power. Boom, I'm exercising it and hitting the gavel. It ought not be that way, folks. And this is why Donald Trump needs to push hard, and the Republicans in the Senate they better get behind him when it comes to him filling the vacancies of federal judgeships all across the country. Right now, there's about 110 vacancies in federal judge benches around the country. They're to be nominated by the president. This Republican Senate better 100% get behind him on filling those seats. All right, you're listening to the Bob Duco Show.